The floodplains of Late Cretaceous Alberta are wide and flat in the early morning light, the river channels running dark between pale sandbars, the forest edge standing dense and still to the north. Mist lies low across the open ground, thinning slowly as the sun lifts above the tree line. It is quiet in the way that places are quiet when they are being watched. There are at least 6 of them. Moving separately, but not far apart. Each animal tracks its own line across the floodplain, but the distances between them remain consistent, as though held in place by some invisible calibration. They are not traveling together by accident. Something between a group and a pack. Something that science is only beginning to understand. Albertosaurus sarcophagus was not the largest tyrannosaur to walk the earth. Reaching around 8 to 9 meters in length and weighing between 1 and 2 tons, it was considerably more slender than its famous relative Tyrannosaurus rex, which would not appear for another 10 million years. But in the ecosystems of Late Cretaceous Alberta, roughly 70 million years ago, it was the dominant large predator, fast, capable, and, evidence increasingly suggests, not always solitary. The most compelling evidence for group behavior in Albertosaurus comes from a single remarkable site in Alberta, Canada, where the bones of at least 22 individuals were found together, adults, subadults, and juveniles, all preserved in the same geological layer. Scientists believe this accumulation represents a genuine social grouping rather than a chance assemblage. Whether these animals hunted cooperatively or simply tolerated proximity in productive areas remains debated. But the implication is clear: these were animals that, at least under certain conditions, chose to be near one another. The advantages of this arrangement are not difficult to imagine. A group of animals moving together across open terrain is harder to ambush, more capable of monitoring a wide area, and better positioned to pursue prey that a single animal might lose. Younger individuals, it is thought, may have benefited from proximity to older, more experienced hunters, learning through observation, gaining access to kills they could not have made alone. But proximity is not the same as cooperation. And in a group of apex predators, the tension is always present. Where food is reliable, tolerance is possible. Where it is not, the mathematics of survival reassert themselves quickly and without sentiment. A group of this size requires a substantial and consistent supply of prey. The hadrosaur herds that move across these floodplains are numerous, but they are not inexhaustible, and they are not easy. A healthy adult hadrosaur can weigh 3 to 4 tons, move at speed when alarmed, and deliver powerful kicks that are capable of breaking bone. The hunt carries real risk. And after a successful kill, the question of who eats, and how much, is not a question the group answers equally. The oldest, largest animals in the group carry clear physical authority. Scars along their flanks and skulls record the history of previous encounters, not only with prey, but with each other. Dominance in a group like this is not a fixed state. It is re-established regularly, through posture, through vocalization, through the controlled escalation of threat that stops just short of serious injury. Scientists believe that in social predators, the energy cost of constant fighting is prohibitive, and so the hierarchy is maintained, wherever possible, through signals rather than force. But signals have limits. When a kill is made and food is genuinely scarce, the younger animals at the margins of the group face pressure that the dominant individuals do not. A subadult, still growing, still filling out the frame its skeleton has already built, requires significant caloric input simply to maintain condition, let alone to develop the size and strength that future dominance will require. In lean periods, these animals lose ground. Some lose more than ground. The group does not protect its weakest members. It has no mechanism for this, and no reason to. What the group offers is opportunity. What each individual makes of that opportunity is its own concern. The hadrosaur herd has been moving south along the river for 2 days. There are perhaps 40 animals, adults and juveniles, the younger ones pressed close to the flanks of larger individuals, the herd moving with the collective wariness of prey animals that have not yet detected a specific threat but carry, as all large herbivores do, the background tension of existing in a landscape where predators are real. The Albertosaurus group has been tracking them since yesterday. The approach has been gradual, not a pursuit, but a slow narrowing of distance, timed to the herd's own movement, using the terrain and the wind direction to remain outside the range at which the hadrosaur's senses would fire into alarm. Scientists believe that semi-coordinated hunting in animals like Albertosaurus, if it occurred, would have been less a planned strategy than an emergent behavior, each individual responding to the same prey signals, moving in the same general direction, and in doing so creating a loose encirclement that prey animals experienced as coordinated even if it was not consciously organized as such. The effect, regardless of intention, is functional. Multiple animals approaching from different directions limit the options available to the herd when the movement finally shifts from approach to attack. The moment arrives without announcement. One animal breaks into a run along the eastern flank of the herd, and the response is immediate. The hadrosaurs surge forward, the tight formation of the herd loosening at its edges as the faster individuals pull ahead and the slower ones are left momentarily exposed. This is the window. It is measured in seconds. Two more Albertosaurus converge from the west, cutting into the gap that the herd's own panic has created. The noise is enormous, the percussion of hundreds of feet on hard ground, the alarm calls of the hadrosaurs, high and carrying, the shorter, percussive sounds of the predators themselves. A juvenile hadrosaur, separated from the main body of the herd in the compression of the moment, is brought down within 100 meters. The herd does not stop. It cannot afford to. The kill belongs, initially, to the animal that made it. But not for long. The largest individual in the group arrives at the carcass within minutes, and its presence alone is sufficient to displace the animal that brought the hadrosaur down. There is no extended confrontation, a lowered head, a sustained vocalization, a slow forward movement that communicates intent without requiring its execution. The smaller animal yields. It moves to a distance and waits, its breathing still rapid from the exertion of the hunt. Evidence from bone assemblages suggests that Tyrannosaurs fed in a manner that was fast and highly consumptive, capable of processing large amounts of food in a single feeding bout, crushing bone as well as flesh and extracting calories with remarkable efficiency. At a carcass of this size, several animals can feed, but not simultaneously and not equally. The hierarchy that governs movement governs feeding, and the animals lower in the group's order take what remains after those above them have finished. For the younger animals, this means waiting. It means watching the carcass diminish, calculating what will be left, adjusting the expectation downward. Sometimes, when the dominant animals feed long, there is very little left at all. This is not cruelty. It is not indifference. It is simply the structure of a system in which rank determines access, and access determines survival. The connection between where an animal sits in its group and how long it survives is not an abstraction. It is written in the fossil record with remarkable directness. At the Albertosaurus bone bed in Alberta, the skeletal remains of younger individuals show signs of nutritional stress and developmental irregularity that the adult bones do not. The group provided these animals with access to hunts they could not have undertaken alone. But it did not provide them with equal shares of what those hunts produced. Some of those individuals survived to adulthood. Some did not. The record does not tell us which. It only tells us that the struggle was real, and that belonging to a group was never, by itself, a guarantee of anything. There is something in the behavior of social predators that resists simple interpretation. They cooperate, and they compete. They tolerate, and they displace. They hunt together and eat in order of rank. These are not contradictions, they are the simultaneous expressions of a single, coherent logic, that survival, in a complex environment, requires both the group and the self, held in a tension that is never fully resolved. Albertosaurus did not choose this tension. It was born into it, as every social animal is born into the terms of its own existence. The floodplain is quiet again in the long light of late afternoon. The herd has moved on. The carcass is largely spent. The animals that fed have dispersed into the tree line, carrying their full weight slowly, conserving what they have gained. The ones that waited are still there, working at what remains. The river moves on without comment. And the plain, wide and indifferent, holds them all in the same flat light.